Check 1, 2, 3. Check 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Hey, Greg, where's the, I think we ought to turn on the lights.
Turn on the lights?
Yeah, because, let me show you what it looks like. Online. Looks very dark.
Okay.
Um,
Problem is trying to find the balance between the lights and the projector.
Yeah. Can we just turn on a set of them?
Turn on, you got it up, Chris? Nothing's on yet.
No.
Now you can't see anything on the screen now.
Yeah, yep. All right, well, they got the slide deck online anyway, so.
Yeah, but I want these guys to be able to see.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, turn them off here. Go ahead and turn them off, Greg. Everybody back to sleep. All right,
You can do that.
that'll work. Yeah.
talked like 8 months ago. I've been busy.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming tonight and joining us. For those of you joining online, we are live streaming tonight from Saginaw, Michigan. This is the fourth and technically final part of our in-person pre-camp leaders meeting series. We'll be featuring DBRA tonight. If you haven't been to one of these before, the way that it's going to work is the first half of the presentation is going to be general information that applies to all 5 of our Scouts BSA resident camps, whether you're going to DBRA or Gerber or Hiawatha, Cole, whatever it will be. And then once we get through that information, we're going to have some camp-specific breakouts. We've got all of our camp directors in the room, and we'll go off and get you the information you need to know for your specific camp. So thank you for being here tonight. Welcome officially. Just a little quick agenda on what we'll be going through in this part of the presentation. Little introduction and kind of our policy on how we are our customer service operations and our communications and kind of how we got to this point. And then we get to go through the Andrew Hour to learn all about paperwork and all of the legalese, fancy stuff that you guys need to know as leaders. After that, looking forward to some stuff on 2026 and year-round operations before we get into our breakouts. So if you've been to one of our webinars or one of these programs or one of our camps or any camping-related meeting in the last several years, you've probably seen this statement. But this is our mission statement that we use to train our camp staffs. And it goes, we, the camping leadership and staff of the Michigan Crossroads Council, are dedicated to providing our customers and guests with a legendary camp service while participating in our life-enhancing year-round outdoor programs. We are committed to providing the facilities, programs, service, and camp leadership that will consistently exceed the expectations of our customers and our guests. Our scout camps will be safe havens for experiencing the best of the adventures and values of Scouting America. This is a pretty simple and straightforward mission statement, but it is kind of the cornerstone of how we are working to build and improve our camping system. As camp leadership, we look at 5 key areas of camp operations and services that we believe if we really nail those and hit those out of the park, you guys are going to have a fantastic week. In no particular order, we start with a strong and dedicated camp staff that we go out of our way to find the best people that we can and train them up to the best that they can be. Following that is a strong and purposeful program that builds on the values of scouting, and it is housed in well-cared for, intentional facilities. If you've been in our camps the last few years, you've hopefully noticed that we're trying to make some serious improvements into our camp facilities with the resources that we have available. The next point is food service. If you've ever been around kids, you know you can have the greatest program in the world, but if the food is kind of crummy and they're not going to like the food, they're going to go home and they're going to say bad things about your program because the food sucked. So we want good food. We want great menus. Andrew's going to talk a little bit later on about some of the steps we're taking on food service and dietary restrictions in particular, because that has definitely been a room for growth in the last decade or so. And then last but certainly not least is communication. And I will be upfront with everybody here. That has been our biggest place for improvement in the last 5 or 6 years. 2 years ago, we sat down and tore down the entire communication strategy and rehashed the whole thing. We launched it off last year, and we're still tweaking it a little bit, and we're still getting it to where we'd like it to be, but hopefully folks will notice an improvement in our communication both before camp and after camp in the last couple of years. This meeting is an example of a change in that strategy. Something you can see on communications this year is an entirely new and refurbished camp app in all of our camps. Christy's been working really hard to get that new program running, so really exciting things coming along. So I'm going to take a break for a little bit, and we're going to bring up my counterpart, Andrew, to talk about paperwork mostly and all the fun operations stuff.
Thanks, Greg. Like Greg said, my name is Andrew Wright. I'm the Camping Operations Director for the Michigan Crossroads Council, which means I do all of the things behind the scenes to make sure that our camps are safe, that they run smoothly, that they're licensed, and that we can provide a positive experience for your scouts when they come to camp. The first thing I'm going to cover tonight is the DHHS Central Registry clearance. This is not a new process, but I want everyone to understand that it is a state of Michigan process and not a Scouting America or Michigan Crossroads Council policy. The State of Michigan Department of Lifelong Education Advancement and Potential, or MILEAP, is the department that oversees how our camps function here in the state of Michigan. In the past, you may have heard the acronym or the term Licensing and Regulatory Affairs, or LARA. That is who the camping department used to fall under. They have since moved under this new department, but they're still in that transition. So on some of your paperwork, you're going to see it referenced as LARA, and on some different paperwork, you're going to see it referenced as MILEAP. Those terms are interchangeable. As I talk about this, I'm going to reference a lot of different forms this evening. You have hard copies of those forms in your packets, and for those of you that are joining us online, as well as those in the room, all of the forms that I'm going to reference this evening are available on your registration under the attachments heading. So when you log into your registration, there's downloadable versions there, there's form fillable versions there that you can type the information into. So just know that all of those forms are there and available online, digitally, on your registration, again, under that attachments heading. The DHHS Central Registry Clearance Rule states that any person over the age of 21 who is going to be attending camp has to have a clearance background check done by the state to ensure that there are no issues in the way of youth protection. So whether that is a unit leader who is spending the entire week with you at camp, a unit leader who's spending a day or two with you at camp, or a parent, grandparent, sibling, aunt, uncle, etc., that is coming to visit for even an hour at camp, they have to be cleared by the state of Michigan if they are over the age of 21. That is for every child care camp in the state, not just our scout camps. And the reason that is important is because in your packet is a form that you will need to fill out and send into the state to receive that clearance. It is free to do, and again, it must be done by anyone that's coming to camp over the age of 21. The reason I want you to know about it right now is because there is an email option on that form. That is the fastest way to have your clearance turned around. Right now, as we speak, it's about a 3-day turnaround time to get your letters back. The closer we get to the start of June, the longer that turnaround time is going to be, because it will literally be hundreds of camps in the entire state that are trying to collect that data from their 21-year-olds who are coming to camp as well. So the sooner you do it, the better, because your turnaround time will be more quick. I cannot legally admit anyone into camp without that form, and new last year, I cannot legally let anyone into camp that has an old form. So the form has to be dated for the calendar year that you're attending camp. So if you have already done your clearance after January 1st, as long as the date from the state of Michigan on your letter is dated in the 2025 calendar year, then we can accept that at camp this year. Please do not have the results emailed to camp. They will not be there when you get there. And please do not mail your results to camp because they will not be there when you get there. They'll physically show up, but with the number, there's nothing on that form to mark where you're from, what unit you're with, et cetera. And our staff, being seasonal, does not have the bandwidth to figure out where that goes. The state of Michigan requires that we collect a physical copy of that form. So don't bring it on your phone. We have to have you hand us a physical copy of that form. If you're attending more than one camp, you will need a form for each location that you attend. So just keep that in mind as you're filling out this form. If you're an out-of-state participant, and I don't think we have any in the room, but we may have some virtually, which is why I want to address this. If you're an out-of-state participant, you will need to fill out your state's equivalent form. If you're unsure what that is, just contact your camp director. They have the resources through the state of Michigan to get you in touch with the right people so that you can fill out your state's equivalent form, which is what we will need to check when you come into camp. So if you're from Illinois and you come in with a Michigan form, we can't accept that form. We're going to ask you for the Illinois form. Okay? So please make sure that you do your due diligence right now prior to coming to camp to have all of those forms filled out, submitted, and returned back to you. Next, I would like to talk about special dietary needs. Today is the day that your final payment is due for camp. And if you tried to make that payment and it didn't go through, part of the reason may be because this dietary restrictions box on your registration was not filled out. Dietary restrictions, we collect those at the time of registration so that we can continue to work with our food service providers to ensure that we can provide you with the best possible food service that pertains to your dietary need. If you do not have any, you simply need to put the word none, no, not applicable, NA in that box. The system will automatically filter those out. We then print that list, we provide it to our camp directors can view it, and it goes to our food service directors. And then what we ask you to do is to call camp at least 2 weeks before your arrival so that you can have a conversation with our food service director and we can ensure that we can provide you your nutritional needs based off of your special dietary restrictions. Restrictions can fall into one of three categories. You can have a dietary restriction because of a food allergy, because of a medical condition, or because of a religious principle. What does that mean? It's real simple. Our kitchens have special prep areas. They have special people to prep those meals. And we need to make sure that the time that they have spent doing that is being focused on the people that need to have that special meal for a specific reason. I only like chicken nuggets and macaroni and cheese is not a valid reason to have a special diet. And that became an issue every year in our camps to the point that we had to make this policy happen in order to be able to provide the best possible food service we can. We've worked very hard with our vendors to make sure that the food you are getting as in a special dietary setting is as close to the meal that we're serving as it can be. Anyone that has special diets knows that sometimes you show up to camp and you get a black bean burger for lunch, and then you go to dinner and they give you a black bean burger, and then you go to breakfast the next morning and they give you a black bean burger that's been flavored to maybe taste like some breakfast sausage. We want to make sure that you have that same variety that our campers have. So if we're having chicken, we're going to have a seitan substitute. If we're having a hot dog, you're going to have a vegetarian hot dog in maybe a gluten-free hot dog bun. If you're gluten-free and we're serving a dinner roll, you're going to get a dinner roll. You're not going to get a defrosted gluten-free hamburger bun in place of a dinner roll. We're able to do that, but we have to collect this data ahead of time and then speak with you to make sure that we can do that for you. In certain instances, if there's a very, very, very severe food allergy or a variety of allergies or medical concerns that's going to make it very hard to safely prep the food for you, we may ask you to bring a supplemental food with you to camp. In all of our camps, we have a designated area in our coolers, freezers, and dry storage for those folks that have to bring those special foods because of the severity of their dietary restriction. In that case, we will let you know that. That is why we ask you to let us know at least 2 weeks in advance so that we can make sure that we can provide that to you and you know what you may need to do to help supplement while you are at camp. Next, I'd like to talk about pre-camp swim checks. Anyone that has ever been to camp before knows that the swim check is typically the longest part of the check-in process. In the Michigan Crossroads Council, we have worked with our aquatics committees and with our risk management committee to give you an option to complete your swim check prior to coming to camp. There are 2 applications that you will need to use in order to do this. These applications can be found on michiganscouting.org/aquatics-committee. Again, that's michiganscouting.org/aquatics-committee. The first application that you're going to find is an application to apply to host a pre-camp swim check. These are not in-depth applications. They're going to ask your unit number. They're going to ask the date that you would like to complete your swim test. They're going to ask where you would like to complete your swim test. And they're going to ask who is going to administer that swim test to you. Why do we want to know where? Because we want to make sure that you're doing it in a safe environment, okay? So we're not doing a swim test in Uncle Joe's pond that he dug in the backyard in 1962, okay? It's in a pool or a swimming area on a beach, etc. The second is we want to make sure that the person that is administering the test understands our policies and has some sort of certification to do so. That is where the second application comes in. If you have done a pre-camp swim test with us before, and you are utilizing the same person to administer that test, they are already in our system, and they will not need to refill out this application. It'll be reviewed by Matt Grimble, our aquatics chair, and he will look at our list of approved swim test administrators, and if they're already listed, then that approval will go through fairly quickly. If you have not used this person before, then they will need to fill out an application to be a swim test administrator. We're going to collect their name, their contact information. We're going to ask what certifications or special skills they have to be able to do this. So maybe they're a lifeguard or a water safety instructor or a pool operator or something that typically has to do with water, and they can safely watch the scouts and adults take that swim test. But then 2, that they also understand what our policies are and how those tests need to be taken. Things like they have to be done one-on-one between, with a 1-to-1 lifeguard to tester ratio. Okay, so if you only have 2 lifeguards present, that means only 2 of your scouts can take a swim test at a time until they've all gone through, okay? They're going to make sure that they understand that they're looking for a full 100 yards, that they are doing a powerful front stroke, that they are doing the correct elementary backstroke, okay? Once we know that they are and are comfortable that they can do that for us, they will become approved as a swim test administrator, and then they will approve your swim test application as long as there's no other issues. When that approval comes through, you will get a form emailed to you that is coded to your unit. Okay, so you can't use last year's form because it won't match your code for this summer. Okay. On that form, you'll fill out all of your scouts and adult leaders' names that are attending camp. You'll go take the swim test. They'll be checked off as a non-swimmer, a beginner, or a swimmer. And then the swim test administrator will sign that form, and you will bring it with you to camp. Speaking of bringing stuff with you to camp, let's talk about all of the glorious paperwork that you will need to bring to camp with you. This is not just for the BSA, Scouting America. I'll get there eventually. This is for any camp that you go to. There will be some sort of massive amounts of paperwork that you'll need to bring with you. We've broken this down into 3 categories: youth forms, adult forms, and unit forms. On your registration, when you log in under the attachments heading, there is a document there called the Paperwork to Bring to Camp Checklist. It's everything that you see on the screen with a little handy box next to it so that you can make sure it's all in your briefcase, check it off, lock it in your car under your seat right before you leave for camp so that you know you have it. For your youth, they will need to bring their BSA health form, parts A, B, and C. That is the only health form we are allowed to accept. And their immunization exemption form if applicable. So if a family does not immunize for whatever reason, whether it's personal or religious, they need to fill out that immunization exemption form, and it needs to be attached to their health form. The second thing we're going to ask you to bring is the camper release form. That is only for units that are attending Camp Rotary. The reason for having a separate camper release form at Camp Rotary is because of the layout of camp. In most of our camps, the health lodge is either in the same building or immediately adjacent to the camp office. So it's very easy to get the release of camper information off of the health form. Camp Rotary, which has been around for 100 years this year, has their office up front and their health lodge in the back. And so we ask for the release of camper forms so that we can leave those in the office to make sure that we are checking our scouts out of camp properly. So make sure you have those. And then finally is the prerequisite verification slips. You can see a picture of that there. Yes, sir. So Cole was going to use it. They do not need it at Cole. They can use the health form. Yep. You must have got an old form, so I apologize.
No, it was actually on their website.
Oh, okay.
When you registered.
Okay. You will not at Cole. The prerequisite verification form, there is one specific to each of your camps that you're attending in your packet. Again, under that attachments heading, if you're joining us online, is our way of making sure that we have a standardized process for ensuring that our scouts are completing the merit badge requirements that they need to have completed prior to coming to camp. These forms are very simple to use. You'll need one form per merit badge per scout, assuming that that merit badge has prerequisites. The slip will need to be signed off on, and this is up to your unit as to how you want to administer this. It can be signed off by the merit badge counselor that completed the prerequisite. So if I went and I did my prerequisites with Greg as the merit badge counselor, he can sign that form, okay? Or it can be signed off by the unit leader or assistant scoutmaster verifying that the scout completed those prerequisites under the guidance of a certified merit badge counselor. So if for some reason I forgot to take my form when I met with Greg and Chris is my scoutmaster, Chris can sign off on the form saying, yes, I know that Andrew did these requirements and he did them under the guidance of Greg, who is a certified merit badge counselor. The asterisk to all this is real simple. If you bring the prerequisite with you to camp, then you don't need the slip. A real good example of this would be coin collecting merit badge. The prerequisite for coin collecting is to have a coin collection, okay? So you can have a slip that says, yes, I have verified that they have a coin collection, or the scout can bring the coin collection with them to camp, okay? Again, it's up to your unit as to how you want to manage that. Moving on to your adult forms, your adults will need parts A, B, and C of the health form. Regardless of how long they're staying, they need all three parts, and their immunization exemption if applicable. They will need proof of their BSA membership with the unit they are attending camp with. That is a new rule from the national office as of last year. So what that means is if my primary unit is Troop 1, but I'm attending camp with Troop 5, I need to be registered as an adult leader in Troop 5 to attend camp with them, okay? So proof of registration for the unit that you're attending camp with. That can be a printout from Scout Book, or it can be a photocopy of their registration card. Either is acceptable. They will also need proof of youth protection training completion. Again, that can be a printout from Scout Book, or it can be a copy of their certificate from the Youth Protection Training website. Just an FYI, if you run the Scout Book report, it puts both of them on the same sheet of paper. Okay, so whatever is easiest for you, but we have to be able to collect those two pieces to verify their ability to be into camp by Scouting America standards. And then again, that DHHS Central Registry clearance required by the state of Michigan, dated for the calendar year of 2025. Finally, your unit forms. There is a Michigan Crossroads Council unit roster. There is a blank copy in your packets, again, downloadable, form fillable online, that you will need to fill out before you come to camp. The correct way to do it is to fill it out in the parking lot right before you leave, because you're verifying who is coming to camp with you. That is your roster. We get asked all the time, why can't I just print off my roster out of my registration? Okay? It is because the state of Michigan requires us to verify that who you brought to camp is who you said you were going to bring to camp. So I have to take the written roster, and again, you can type it, that's an option, but I have to take the written roster and I have to compare it against the registration of who you said was going to be there. Because if someone has said they were going to be there, but they're not physically in camp, I have to be able to say why if we get audited. The other thing that this does for us is, let's say that, well, they didn't come to camp because of a medical concern, or they broke their foot, or et cetera. We can begin the process with you right then and there to say, okay, you need to get us a copy of the doctor's paperwork in order for us to process refunds, et cetera, because there's a window of time where that closes, and typically it's within 14 days of when you were at camp, okay? So please make sure that you're using that MCC roster. If you show up to camp without it, you will have to fill it out in the parking lot before you can even begin check-in. So please make sure that you're using that form. Next, if you are an out-of-council unit, we're going to ask for a copy of your council's accident insurance. All you need to do is call the council office. Every council in the United States has to do this, so they're used to doing it. Hey, our unit is traveling to Michigan for summer camp. I need a copy of our council's accident insurance policy. Bring that with you. We will collect that as part of your check-in. If you completed your pre-camp swim checks, bring that form with you. If you forget it, you get to take swim checks again at camp. And then the last part is optional but very helpful to you, because we will not print these off for you at camp. The first is when you log into your registration, you have an option called reports. That's where you're going to find all of these. The first is your Scouts Merit Badge schedule. So you can hand one to each of your scouts and they know where they're supposed to go and when. Because a lot of times they signed up in March and they don't even remember what they were going to do when they show up to camp. Okay? Very helpful for them. The next three are very helpful to you as a unit leader. There is a Scout Summary Report, which is a condensed version of the Scout schedule. So it'll say, Johnny is taking these merit badges and this is when they are taking them. And it'll give you a printout packet for each scout in your unit. The second is the Class Summary Report, which just morphs that information a little bit differently. It says, these are all the classes that my scouts are taking. These are the scouts that are taking that class, and this is the time or times that they are taking the class. And the third one, which I find the most helpful as a unit leader, is the Period Summary Report, because it tells you from 9 to 10, this is where my scouts are supposed to be. From 10 to 11, this is where my scouts are supposed to be, based off of how they signed up in the system. Those are all reports that are available to you, in addition to many others that you can look at by clicking on that tab and read about in your leader's guide. But that is the paperwork bundle that you'll want to bring with you when you come to camp. I'm going to bring Greg back up to talk about the 2026 reservation process. And I know some of you are going, 2026? We haven't even started 2025 yet. That's because there are some incentives that you need to be aware of that you can take advantage of while you are at camp this year, and you need to be able to plan and prepare for those. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Greg.
Hey, thanks, Andrew. Yeah, it's hard to believe it, but we are already working on 2026 right now. Give you guys kind of a sneak preview of where we're at. So we are in the last stages of finalizing next year's session dates and fees and all that good stuff. We're going to have that released publicly June 1st so that it's in time for summer camp. Hopefully that gives you guys a little bit of time to talk before you get to camp. If not, certainly you guys can always chat at camp and make a decision. We're certainly happy to take reservations, well, pretty much right up until you get to camp in 2026. But we'll never turn you away unless we're full. But we will be opening reservations in time for you guys to sign up before you leave camp, which is something that we encourage everybody to do. To take advantage of that, couple things to know, a couple processes. So first off, if you're interested in returning to the same camp, the same session, and the same campsite, we're going to ask you to come up to the business office on Wednesday of the week you are at camp. Wednesday is reserved for troops that want to do exactly what I just described. Same week, same camp, same campsite, to make sure you have that first dibs, that first priority to get that spot for next year. On Thursday, we're going to open that up to everybody else in camp. So if you want to maybe try a different campsite or go to a different camp but the same week, so you're at Cole this year, you want to go to Rotary next year, Thursday is the day to do that in the business office. Once we get to Friday at 8 a.m., we're going to open that up to everybody and their brother. So if you want to return to the same camp, all that stuff, try to get in there Wednesday or Thursday. If you're interested in switching weeks, let's say you're going to camp week 4, but you want to go week 3 next year, Friday of week 3 is when you want to log on and make your reservation so you can get in there before somebody else does. To make a reservation at that time, really anywhere all the way up to the first of the year, all that's required to make a reservation is $200 per troop, regardless of how many scouts you're going to bring to camp. But that's $200 per troop. So if you have a linked unit, you have a boy troop and a girl troop, that's $200 per troop. It'll be $400. So if you have a co-ed unit, it's 1 troop, $200. Make sense? Cool. Here's some more information on that. I know you guys here can really read these slides very well, so if you have any question on what's there in the blur, feel free to shout them out. Yeah, that's pretty much that. So we will have some incentives again this year as we have the last couple years. The deadline for registration to take advantage of the incentive is going to be December 1st again. It's going to be 2 free leaders as it was this year. I'm like 99% confident saying that's what it's going to be. If you register before December 1st, you'll get the incentive. If you register after December 1st, we're still happy to have you at camp, but you're going to have to pay full price for those leaders. So try to get in as early as possible, take advantage of that. Year-round opportunities in all of our camps. So if you haven't been aware of it, I know you guys certainly are, but all of our camps are open year-round in some capacity or another. So if you can think of something that you would do at summer camp, whether a horseback ride at D-Bar-A or you want to go out on the canoe trip at Cole, you want to take advantage of a waterfront, they're available year-round. I don't recommend going swimming in December, but if you want to, we'll make it happen. ATVs is a popular year-round program coming up at Cole right now. They have. Did you do it again this year? Yes, we did. So whether you want tent camping or you want to take advantage of one of our fine insulated cabins, we have those available as well throughout the year. If you are a Michigan Crossroads Council unit, as a reminder, you have free weekend tent camping in any one of our properties. Our cabins are not free, but it is still a very good value, so take advantage of it. These facilities are here for you guys to use. So more questions on year-round program or facility rentals, you can reach out to your favorite camp director, and I'm sure they'll tell you all that you need to know. If you are interested in doing year-round programs, we do ask that you give your camp director as much notice as possible so that they can ensure that they have the staff lined up to accommodate that. In addition to you guys being able to rent our facilities as units and troops, we also have this program behind me called Mitten Outdoor Adventures, which is the division of the Michigan Crossroads Council that seeks to bring in non-scouting business into our properties. So if you have a family event coming up or a work event, maybe it's a retreat, maybe it's a wedding or a family reunion, or if you know somebody that's looking for facilities such as one of our camps, those are available to everybody. So there are, whether it's just facilities you're looking for or you want to work and build out a program, that's available to everyone, scouting or not. And honestly, it's some very, very affordable programming and affordable rates. If you'd like more information on that, you can either check out mittenoutdoors.org, which is the official website for that branch, or you can reach out to a camp director and they can give you more information or help you start that process. So that's pretty much the synopsis there. So this is the generalized question and answer group. If there's any questions, feel free to shout them out for myself or Andrew. I know we've answered a few along the way. Not seeing any hands. I guess we did a good job. So we're going to move into the breakout section of tonight's presentation. So depending on who you are and where you're at, will determine where you go. So if you're here for Camp Rotary, you're going to go out those doors into the basement by the Camp Rotary banner, and Cheryl will be down there to talk about Camp Rotary. Cole Canoe Base and Camp Gerber are both going that way, down that hall somewhere over there. And DBRA is going to stay right here in the room. So with that, thank you for joining us tonight. You guys will be released directly from the breakouts, and travel safe depending on where you're going. Well, no matter where you're going, travel safe. Thanks. She told you what's going on? Okay. Yeah. Cole will be downstairs at the Rotary banner in the interest of convenience. Joe, you want to come on up and get going? Yeah, we'll cut some lights on for Joe, and then we'll go through that. So, yeah, what we're going to do is we have to do the DBRA thing for the live stream, and then just for the purpose of convenience, you might as well just stay here instead of having to go hide in the hallway somewhere. Right. So, thank you for understanding that.
Since you got your phone out, you're being all brave, let's do it.
Just clip it to your collar, and that way the microphone will pick you up.
What do we call this thing? What do we call this?
Leader meeting.
Leader meeting? Oh, okay. Evening, everybody, to the D-Bar-A Leaders Meeting. My name's Joe. I am the ranch foreman at D-Bar-A. Few things that we wanted to cover for tonight. When you arrive at camp, check-in is going to be at the Martin Building with everybody doing their health checks. By May 23rd, you need to access SurveyMonkey to schedule the appointment for check-in. Your paperwork, you need to make sure you bring copies of it that will stay at camp. They are not returned at the end of camp. You will be getting a troop guide that will give you the tour of the sub camp that summer camp will be taking place in. When you arrive to your site, you'll be able to unload your vehicles. However, only the vehicle hooked to the trailer and the troop trailer will be allowed to stay at the site. The rest will be directed over to Riverside Field, where they will be parked for the remainder of the week. On Sunday for checkout, you'll be checking out with your troop guide. We are allowing people to arrive early. However, check-ins will not be allowed on Saturday. You'll have to wait for your times that you sign up for on Sunday. Ranch Hand Week 2 is full. There is 2 horsemanship, has 2 spots in the morning session. And the trail ride sign-up that everybody always looks forward to will be available for sign-ups on Sunday when everybody arrives. And if anybody has any questions on anything that has not been covered, feel free to contact Marie Beckfar, the camp director, or myself, Joe Smith. My email is joe.smith@scouting.org. And my phone number is 989-766-3683. Yes. So we are doing food at the dining hall, but we're also doing, there's a few of the meals that we're doing that are prep, in-site prep. And the food will be handed out. There is menus that will be available in May for everybody to get an idea of what they need for prep on the meals. We will have people movers available to get, not everybody, but get people that need assistance to the dining halls. Anybody else?
How old do you have to be to ride the horses?
You have to be, for the trail rides, it's 10 or above.
You sell cowboy hats and trading posts?
We do have some cowboy hats in the trading post. Anybody else? I'm not real sure on, I think they're only offering them a couple days. It's been kind of a juggle. Yes. The sign-up sheets will be there on Sunday. Alrighty. Thank you.